we'd like to introduce you to a new range of UHF antennas from Axis, the Ranger series. And as you can see, not only do they look tough, they're built tough, but they also perform exceptionally well. To start off with, look at the spring. It's probably hard to tell here, but when you compare it to others on the market, it's up to 30% larger than its nearest rival, 70 millimeters. A 30 millimeter radome mast, which is removable, and also has a 35 millimeter thread to make an extra strong mounting on it. Also regarding the mounting, what Axis have done is actually included a 10 mm by 50 mm spacer. So when you're actually mounting it to your bull bar, it actually has a real meaty support underneath it as well. What really makes it perform? Well, there's a few things. When designing an antenna, you want to tune it to the optimum frequency, which is 477 for UHF. But to get the most out of that, not only is tuning is important, but you also want to make sure all that signal that the antenna is getting to your radio. And that's where the cable is really important. It's a bit like a performance vehicle. Without touching the internals, you can actually get a lot of performance, extra performance out of a car by adding a high flow filter, a high flow exhaust system, especially on turbo vehicles. And that's the same thing with the Ranger series. They've used a commercial grade UHF cable, which has ultra low loss through the cable, and that's giving you the ultimate performance out of the antenna itself. The other things that you'll notice as well on it is that it actually comes with a rubber seal around the mast, but also a rubber grommet that actually, when you remove the antenna, you can actually put that in to protect the connections at the bottom, so that no residue, no dirt can actually affect the connections, which will ultimately affect the performance of your antenna as well. So how do they perform? Well, there's two models in this particular range. The ARU4, which I'm holding here, which is a 3 to 4 dB. We also have the ARU8, which is a 7 to 8 dB. Why do we say 7 to 8, 3 to 4? Well, they're optimized to 477 megahertz, which is the highest dB rating, but obviously not every channel is actually at 477. So that's why we're actually highlighting that dB range there. Others talk about dBi. What's the difference? Well, dBi is normally a higher rating numerically. Most people in the industry deduct 2.1 dB off a dBi to actually get a dB rating. So this is a 4 dB antenna, add your 2.1, it's actually around about a 6 dBi antenna. And for the height of it, at only 675, that's performing as well as other antennas which are about 1.2 meters high. So you can get the same sort of performance out of a shorter antenna, not worry about your garage, car parks, and get that same sort of performance there. Another great thing about the Ranger series antennas is not only is the mast replaceable, just by unscrewing it, so in case you actually damage it through a heavy branch or something, but also the cable assembly. So if the cable is cut by going through some heavy shrub, what do you do? Well, this antenna actually has a removable cable assembly. Just by undoing the Allen key here and screwing out the PL259 fitting, you can actually replace the actual whole cable system. Or if you want, you can actually cut the cable and rejoin it to the existing fitting, making it really convenient if you're out in the middle of nowhere and you still want to be in touch. In the Axis Ranger series of UHF antennas, they also have this little baby, the ARU3. Now, as you can see, this is a magnetic base antenna, which will mount onto any metal surface. But what makes this extra special is it's actually an LMR antenna. Not only does it do 477 megahertz for normal UHF use, but it also spans from 450 megahertz right up to 520 megahertz, making it ideal for commercial radios. Being magnetic based, as we mentioned, it's great for metal surfaces. Ideally, mounting it on the middle of your roof will give you maximum dB rating using that ground plane. And this is actually rated up to 3 dB. It also comes with two fittings, one to allow it to connect to a normal UHF mobile unit, but also to a handheld mobile. So getting the extra range that you'll probably need or like to get when driving in a vehicle. So there you have it, the new Ranger series of UHF antennas from Axis. So as you can see, they got the looks, they're tough, they're made tough, but they also perform in all sorts of conditions as well. So go out and get one, I'm sure you'll be over the moon with its performance and looks.